Let's build the wings for the box wing. Right and left side. We'll get started here. Let's just punch this out. We're going to score these. And we're just barely cutting into here. These lines here are laser marked. And we're just barely cutting into it. You don't even need to go halfway, just barely cut into it. Super easy to do. Main thing on this whole build, or any of your builds, just take the time. You shouldn't be in a rush to do it. Part of the whole process is, you know, enjoying it. We got some batteries coming up. I have charging. Okay, I took the batteries off. Now on this one, we're going to go, you know, about halfway through. If you cut through on anything, you can just turn it over and put tape on. Actually, it's kind of better, it reinforces everything. We're going to cut a 45 here and here, and I'll show you how that's done. And probably the best way to do is just go to the end of the table and we'll cut the 45. We don't want to cut through the paper. You need a real sharp knife, and obviously this one is not. So let's get one a little bit better. So you want a fresh blade on it, and you'll know it if you don't have it. It'll gum up. And cut you a 45 on that. Okay, and you don't want to cut through the paper. Again, if you do, no big deal. Just put a piece of tape on it. A lot of times, I'll go ahead and put the tape on it whether I cut through or not, just for some reinforcement. And we'll do that on this one. I'll show you how, or what I do to it. Nothing new. This is a method that's been around for a long time. What's new with our wings, our flying wings, is how it's attached to the body and how easy it is to replace it if you have a crash. Anyway, okay, this one's done, and we're going to do the same thing for your aileron, but we're only going to cut it on one side. And let me see, I won't cut it on this piece here, on the main body. Again, we'll cut the 45. And again, this blade should be replaced. I just didn't do it. I should have taken the time to do it. Just makes the process a lot easier. Okay. And if you want to make it look really nice, if you have a piece of sandpaper, and this is real old sandpaper on this block, but you can do this number. It makes it look a lot nicer. Once again, if you cut through the paper, no big deal. You can put tape. Okay, now that that's done, on these lines here that we scored, we're going to use a popsicle stick or whatever you have, just something to widen these up a little bit. You don't have to press real hard. You can see here where it's just making it a little bit wider line. There's, again, no special technique, just dragging this through there, along the line rather, just to widen that. Okay. And this is what you'll wind up getting, this look. So let's go ahead and let it do all the cracking it needs to do. And I think I went through the paper on a little bit. No big deal. Yep, you'll see that I did right here. No big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and put the tape on there. So don't let that bother you. You can pretty much use any tape. I use this reinforced, but you can actually use you know, the plain tape, like a packing tape. And I kind of line it up so it looks kind of nice. And we'll rub it down. This could have been a little bit longer here. No big deal. Okay. We'll cut the excess off here. Okay. And we'll go ahead and bend this back around. I just want to see now that this and this line up. And that lines up. Gonna look good. And that's what it's gonna look like. We'll go ahead and cut this open. There you go. We'll go ahead and get these two pieces out. And you'll notice that there's a tick mark here, a little mark right here. And let's get our left and right. This is going to be our left wing. Obviously this is wrong. This is how it's going to fit. Just like that. Okay. So when we glue this on, this tick mark is going to wind up right here. So see if we can get you to see it. It's going to wind up going right here to the end. And we'll know that's right where we want it to be when we glue this on. Also, we furnish a piece of foam that you put underneath this, and we'll just use this for right now, to raise this up so it's the same height as this. So you'll have a square piece. I think it's like 6 by 6. I'll grab it after a while. And you just set that underneath your wing. When you set this down, you'll notice that it's right perfect. Okay? Makes it really easy whenever you glue this on, or hot glue it on. When we do that, the tick mark's going to go to that point, and we're going to glue this on just like that. So let's get that done. Okay, so to put the first glue on, we're just going to do this. Just put some glue. Put enough on there. You can see. Don't skimp on it, but you don't have to have like a ton of it either. The one thing about this, I don't know, you really can't go wrong with it. So just put, there you go. And we're going to put this on. There you go. So you'll see we put it right at the tick mark there. We've pushed down because we want the foam to fit all the way on there. And we're pretty much at a 90-degree angle there. Okay. When you put the top piece on, if it's off a little bit, it's going to correct it when you fold it around. So you just want to make sure it's pushed in all the way there. And it's pushed all the way down, and you'll see that it's down on there, and it's pushed all the way this way. It's also at the tick mark. Just let it dry. And I would let it go, you know, a minute or so. Again, don't get in a rush. This is part of the fun. The way we put this together, you can you know, just copy this wing. These are laser cut and ready for you. But we'll have the template for this also. And you can cut a few of these. And you know, we use Dollar Tree foam, the very well-known way of constructing a wing. You know, foam wing started way back with, I think it's called the Armin wing. And the gentleman there pretty much started this. But anyway, what you can do with this, you can make spare wings. You can pick up a couple of these pieces and the next piece we're going to use, and you can make 2 or 3 of these. Or you can have these cut out, and if you destroy the wing, you can just take this off. It's going to be really hard to get it off, but you can. And use these pieces, this piece and this piece we're going to use in a minute, and have your wing ready, and very shortly you're ready to go. The other thing it allows it to do is that you can use or experiment with different wing styles. This is a swept back, but we have some planks coming out, and we have forward swept coming out. We have a couple other ones that's really, really interesting that we're going to be coming out with. So it allows you to experiment with this. And that's pretty cool. So we'll say that's dry enough now. We need this piece, and this is one of our stabilizers, or this is the stabilizer for this side of the wing. So this is going to be installed like this. We want this slot toward where the wing is going to be folded. So we just want to stick it in there. Do it this way. Slide that in like that. And then push it in. Okay. We're going to leave it like that. We're going to push it down a little bit later. But we want that in before you do this number. So you'll see here that, first of all, when you put your foam, you're going to have this right here. And this is a good skid plate. Now I'm going to put it back underneath there. Again, it comes with like a 6x6 piece, so you don't have to mess up your wing. And when you come down on this, just make sure you push on this part as you fold it around. And when you do, you'll see that it fits on there really, really well. So you can see here that we're going to trim a little bit of that off. And you'll see it right there. Just kind of do that number with it. And we're just doing that so it'll have a tighter fit. So that whenever it's wrapped around, and again you'll push this way, massage it back this way, and you'll see here, if you just put it around to see the gap you have, but if you push this way, look how tight it becomes. There you go. See how that comes out now? And that's what we want. So we have this piece put in, and now we're ready to apply glue here. And we're going to apply it here, here. And you do not have to put in these here. It makes it a lot stronger if you do, but it's not necessary. I might put a little bit when we do it here. The main thing, you don't want it to dry up on you, because then that's bad. So we're going to go ahead and put some glue here, or hot glue on. There. We're going to go ahead and put this in. Main thing, you want to make sure you have a gun that, you know, can supply with enough glue. I don't normally do this right here, but we'll do a couple of spots like that. It just adds weight, and I don't think it does that much. Can't hurt, you can with the weight though. And we're ready to roll it around. So I'm going to go ahead and put your piece underneath again, give it some support, and we're going to roll this around. I'm having kind of a hard time with the camera showing you all this. But whenever you do it, I'm rolling it and I'm pushing here. And you can see that seam, how nice it looks. But just make sure you kind of massage it down. Not real hard, because you'll crease your wing, like I'm doing it a little bit. So we'll just hold it there. And we'll see what it looks like underneath. If you notice, we're not, as long as you keep this wrapped around, you know, tight to this piece, or to this piece. And as long as you keep it wrapped, or you're pushing on it a little bit to keep it tight, and you push this in, we'll see what it looks like on this area where it matches here. Hopefully it should be perfect, or real close. Pushed a little bit too hard here, you can see. Just keep it close to the edge when you apply just a little bit of pressure. It's really easy to fold around. It really is. It comes right around for you. So you don't have to get all, put a lot of pressure on it or anything. Obviously I did a little bit here, but it won't hurt anything. So we'll hold it here for a little while. And after you do a couple of wings, you'll see it gets very, very easy to do. You can build one of these probably in about 4 minutes, 5 minutes. But just take your time at the beginning. Anyway, you know, I like to take my time all the time. That's, like I said, that's part of the fun. So we'll see if it's dry enough. Let me go ahead and take these batteries off. I'm doing some balance charging. I'm sorry, I'm doing some storage charging. And we're done. If I don't fly for, you know, a week or two, I like to put my batteries in storage. It really saves them. Okay, so we're done with that for right now. So let's see how this came out. Pretty good, eh? Pretty good. Looks good. And if you'll notice, all the way down, it's come out really straight. There you go. That's part of the deal that makes this pretty easy in building these. Okay. Came out pretty good. It's a little bit off there, won't hurt a thing at all. I don't normally, you know, you can trim this square up. I normally don't, I just leave it just like that. Okay, next step we're going to do is glue this. So the only thing I'm going to do is put a little bit right here, like this. Run it down. And here, I'm just going to set it down and press down. We'll let that dry. You can see it was pretty easy. Just take your time. And on the first time to build one, or one of our wings, is just think it through when you go through it. And you'll see how easy making one of these wings it really is. And I'm just going to let this dry now. Again, a good minute. Let it dry really, really well. If for some reason you take it off and you see this separates, you can always put more glue in. No problem. Now you can see it's fitting there pretty good. We have a little bit of the glue that got into the joint here. Just look at it and then, wipe it down. There you go. Okay. And I cut through the paper here a couple of spots. It's always good too, I think, to put tape here. It just really strengthens it up. And before we folded the wing or glued the wing to the plate, it'd probably be pretty good, to put this tape on and put your piece here. You can't go wrong with it. If you paint it, it still looks pretty good painted. But it really reinforces this. It's a good way to do it. Okay, and that's about enough deflection that we need on the down, and plenty, of course, on the up. Now we're going to go ahead and push this down. Okay, and what we want to do, if you look through here, is just to make sure that it's flat. In other words, the bottom of this is touching the bottom. So you just kind of push it in like this. Okay, work it back a couple times, and when you look through here, you'll see that this part, let's press it against it like that. Okay, real simple, but you may have to go up and down a couple times like that because we put this tape on right here. Go up and down a couple times. You'll hear it making contact at the bottom. Okay. That's down. Kind of want to make sure that this is level. Normally, if it's touching at the bottom, this piece right here will ensure that it's straight. That looks good. What we're going to do now is go ahead and put this little bead of glue, but before we do it, just fold this up. You'll see where it makes contact right here. And that'll let you know that this is in the right position this way. You may have to push forward a little bit. But you can see it's a pretty good fit right there. It kind of tells you it's good. Make sure it's all the way down, this part. Okay, that looks good and straight. We're going to put a little bead right here. Real small, you don't need much. But it kind of locks that in. And then what I normally do then is, without putting pressure, I just rub the hot tip on there like that and it smooths it out pretty good. I'll let that dry for a few minutes. This also gives a lot of stability to the wing. With gluing it here on either side, it gives it a lot of stability this way when you go to push on it. You can crush any of them made this way. But if you're halfway gentle with it, and even through quite a few crashes, it holds up really, really, really well. Okay, let's go over to this side. And again, we'll put a bead on this. Like that. And then we'll just rub it with the hot tip over it. And you'll see it really smooths it down a lot. Let's let that dry. And I'm pushing down on this at the same time, just to make sure everything's down whenever I'm gluing this top piece. We don't normally glue the inside when we fold it. I've never found where you really needed to do it. Once again, the wing gets destroyed, you can always get the foam off these pieces and reuse them again. In the future here, we're going to be building a lot of different wings, and whenever you build yours, you'll see after the first time or during the first time, you'll feel real comfortable doing it. Super easy to do. We want to let that dry really good. I think it's good enough for me to go ahead and put the bead here. We're going to do this one too. This right here, you need a little bit more glue on it, and you'll tell whenever you're doing it. You can go back over it if you need to. And then drag it over the hot tip. And it smooths it out pretty good. I'm going to need a little bit more glue on this one. But you can see it smooths it out pretty good. We're going to do the same thing right here. And again, we'll put a pretty good bead on here. And we'll rub the hot tip over it. If it's not making it really smooth, just add a little bit more hot glue. And then drag it across and you'll see. Does a pretty good job of it. So that's how it's coming out. We're going to let that dry. Okay. The next thing we're going to do, and this is a pretty common technique with building these wings, is put a little bit of hot glue in here. We'll have a couple pieces ready, and we have the pieces here. We can just cut, you know, a 1-inch piece off, and this is what I normally do. You have that 6x6 piece that we furnish, and you know, cut it up in a few pieces, and that way you're ready. It doesn't have to be very long. It can just be, you know, 1 inch by 1 inch even, and it'll work great. So we're going to put a little bit of glue in here, and then we're going to use this to scrape it all out. Don't close it, leave it open, and that's going to make a real good hinge. I would absolutely say, if it was me, I would put another piece of tape on here, just like we did here, and it's super great for a good strong hinge. So let's go ahead and do this. You don't have to put very much, just a little bit. And then the only thing you're really doing is spreading hot glue on it and filling in all the foam, and it really makes for a good hinge. And like I said, if you, in addition, if you put the tape on, stupid good. It's really good. You see this is drying up really good. You want to make sure that it's pretty much perpendicular to this. And it looks like this. A good way to check it, you know, you can always measure it. This is about almost 6 inches from there to there. And you'll see it's like 5 7/8. We'll call it 6. It's about a 1/16 of an inch off. Not going to hurt anything at all. It'll still fly super great. But it's starting to really look like a nice wing. Again, you can trim this off. I don't normally do it. You can get your piece that you have left over. You can cut this out and put it in there and glue that if you don't want it open. Super good. In fact, in the future we may even have a plastic piece that actually fits in here. And that way when you roll it, it lines this side up and it lines this side up. So that may be coming in the future. then everything is sealed off. This has a definite shape. You can't go wrong. You see here how well it lined up. And we didn't even wash this side. We just rolled it over, make sure it's pushed in. Not super hard, but just massage it softly and push it in when it rolls over, and push this in, and that's what you get. Really nice. This is starting to dry up. We want to make sure that this was not closed. You know, and if you don't like the, if you want more down, you can always trim this back before you put this on, and it'll give you a little bit more. But, you know, I'm pretty happy with this because we're going to run a little bit of reflex like that. So when you go down, yeah, pretty much all you need. Okay, but we'll go through that very soon. Okay. No problem. I like that. So this is one of your wings built. Super easy. This hole right here, we're gonna, you know, as we move through this hole right here, you're actually gonna have tube going through here. That tube goes through like that. So it's going to wind up about in this position, and that's your spar. That's going to be your spar. Okay. If we, in the future wings we have coming up, if we have a plank, we're using 2 spars. It's going to go through here and here. And when we have a forward swept, this is actually going to be our spar here with a sharp piece on this one. So all that's coming in the future. Reason for some of the holes. And also there are alignment holes that you see when we put the box on, the main body. All that is used. There's another piece that's used to line all this up. You can't go wrong. And then we have the inserts to screw the wing on. Super, super good way to do it. This is where our servo is going to go. This is where our horn is going to go, and that comes in the future. So there you go. That's one of your wings. We're going to go ahead and do the other one just the same as we did this one, except it's a right wing. No problem. That's what it's going to look like. So this is Danny with QuadLugs. Let me get busy and do that other wing. And next we're going to go ahead and put our servo and our horn on and our linkage, and after that we'll be ready to mount to the box. Super easy build, really good method of building that thing. Again, this is Danny with QuadLugs. See you next time.